Welcome. My name is John Broussard. This presentation is going to be about Darknet Trader. That is a feature you can turn on in our optionsanalysis.com website. Darknet Trader came about. I was interested in finding a sideways trader. I went to talk to a hedge fund guy who allowed me to see how he was doing things, and he showed me he primarily traded using some pattern recognition technology. Well, pattern recognition technology is sort of wide open. There's all kind of mathematical ideas you can bring to the problem, and it's very easy to invent something nobody else has tried before. Although a lot of it doesn't work too well, every once in a while you find something. So while I was searching for a sideways pattern prediction technology, I happened to notice there were a finite number of ways you could program up this particular pattern I was looking at. There were 9, so I programmed them all up. After I got the backtest results, I took a look around and discovered there was a very good bullish predictor in there. There was also a decent bearish predictor. I decided to try to use the bullish predictor to buy stocks and use the bearish predictor to sell stocks and see how the two would work together, and that became Darknet Trader. On the chart you can see here the B's, which is these little purple dots here, shows the candle that the buy happened on. Darknet more or less kind of nailed all these bottoms that you see here, 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 and here, and sort of got the tops where you see the sell purple dots here, 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 and here. Pattern recognition technology can find the exact bottom of certain events if they fit the pattern that it's looking for. Doesn't even have to wait for a turnaround. That's what happens in Darknet Trader. It's all mathematics based. It's actually very simple mathematics. Anyone could understand it. But there's very little human parameter variation or changes, which is very nice. The very first Darknet Trader I constructed worked great the first time. I then made 6 more, and currently we're using Trader 5, but there are probably even better traders I haven't even found yet. Also, you can decide on the time frame you want the Darknet to go after, and I wanted this to be used for relatively near-term option trading, such as calls. So this current Darknet is tuned to 30 days. When you look on a chart and you see a B, that's a buy signal. It's the first time Darknet will purchase a stock. I noticed after a buy signal, I sometimes got more buy signals. So we implemented the rebuy terminology. You'll see an R in the chart. That means Darknet has decided to add to the position. An A signal is a strange signal. It means that things are not going well. If you still have confidence in your stock, then this might be a third opportunity to buy, or it could be an exit. The S is the sell signal. This is when you should exit the trade. It can occur throughout the day, but doesn't really stick till the last update. The dots are that Darknet has found the pattern it's looking for, but we are waiting for confirmation before we actually decide that that pattern is real on that particular day. We have 3 Darknet searchers. We have one that just finds trades in stocks and shows their backtest performance. We also have a bullish call option Darknet Trader and a bullish put credit spread Darknet Trader. If the implied volatilities are relatively low, the call option is a good strategy to use. It's very simple. If the implied volatilities are high, you might want to switch to the put credit spread as an alternative trader, or in a bullish trade where you don't want to pay for a lot of IB. Now, given the past performance of Darknet, became interested in how can I optimize? What is the best call option to trade? What is the best put credit spread to trade? I'm going to give you answers, at least from the point of view of Darknet. Here's a little of past performance. This is happens to be the gold mining stock AEM. It started this particular year in 2010, in October, right around 64 to 66, and it ended the year right around 66 to 68. So not much action happened in the stock from a year-to-year basis, but inside there were three major up and down swings that occurred in AEM, and Darknet captured them all. It captured this first one here with a buy and sell. It bought here, and here you can see a rebuy. The stock went up, but then went down some more. The dots triggered, and we got a rebuy signal here, and it ended up becoming a very nice trade. We sold over here. Shortly after that sell, we found ourselves in another buy signal. Got out a little early this time. Stock went down some more. We had a buy and a rebuy, and then we had another nice uptrend and did well in AEM in Darknet for this particular year. You can see the advantages of sometimes adding to your position with rebuys. You can see the dots. You can also see that there is no time frame between the buys and the sells. It can be very short, just a matter of 10 days, or it can be very long. Over 140 days happens between these two. Here's a continuation into 210. I'm sorry. Here's some more recent trade examples. This is Emerson Electric. Emerson Electric put out a buy and rebuy signal in July of 2012, shortly before this video was made. From that point forward, it has had a nice upward trend, and it had good earnings, which continued the upward trend. Here's a recent example in Coca-Cola. Darknet has done well in Coca-Cola. Over the last 3.5 years, we had a recent buy in Coca-Cola at the middle of July, and then we just recently got the sell and exited out. This chart shows, starting from the S&P 500 list, which has about 480 optionable stocks inside of it, what percent of the S&P 500 list is actively traded by Darknet at any moment in time over the last 1.5 years. Now there's 4 colored lines. The black one is total active. The red one is the A trades. You see there's not that many. The B is the buy trade. That's the blue line shown here. And the green is the rebuy trade. The green will lag the buy because it can only happen after a buy trade. What we see happening right here, where we go from almost Darknet being completely out of the market to being almost 85% in the market, is that there's a lot of correlation in the market. At least there was in 2011. Darknet is looking at each stock individually, and each stock has its own parameters that are creating these buys and sell signals, and when they all act in unison like this, that shows a lot of correlation in the market. And then shortly thereafter, after being in 85%, Darknet sells most of it, and it drops to almost 0% in the market in November of 2011. Then we had another big upswing in November, and then we kind of cruised along for quite a while. In the May, June part of 2012, Darknet got into the market some more. Then towards the middle end of July, Darknet almost completely exited the market down to below 10%, and has kind of wandered around in this 10 to 20% region at the moment. So Darknet currently, its opinion of the market is not too good, although it has had some recently good positions in certain stocks. Here's performance of Darknet from early 2009 to Friday to today, the 12th. I'm sorry, to the 10th, which was last Friday. I'm giving the presentation on Monday, August 13th. The top one shows stocks only trading. The first line is what percent of the S&P 500, if you traded each stock from the time period I mentioned, would be profitable today, and 84% were profitable. The next line shows in each individual trade that happened over that time period, what percent were profitable. Around 70% were profitable. There was a average profit of 46 and an average loss of $27. In call options trading, those numbers reduced to 75% of the stocks traded profitable call options, and each individual trade, if you looked at it, was about 64%. That means that less than, if you traded, for every 3 call options you traded, one will have lost money, at least one, and 2 will have made money if you were able to spread your trades across the S&P 500. The average profits and average losses are considerably bigger than these, and the reason is we're using $2,000 in all 3 of these charts, but a call option, on average, after looking at the data, has about 8-to-1 leverage. So to get this to be comparable, multiply 46 by 8 to get a number that you can compare to the average profit shown in the call option. To put credit spread, does better than the call option, both in percent profits of stocks and percent profits of trades. That's because it has a very good buffer, and it will make a profit even if the stock stays near the buy signal or the rebuy signal. But you have to be able to wait, and you have to only trade in stocks that meet certain criteria to be able to get inside put credit spread, which I'll show you just a second. Here is the stock searcher input screen. Most of it is automatically picked for you. You really don't have to do anything when you get in the screen. Now what I've done is I've clicked on Show under Search Criteria, and all that shows me is a study we were looking at about stock trade limits. In other words, if you were to use a certain percentage to exit trades when you have a certain loss and a certain profit, what would be the best percentage to do that at if you were using Darknet buys and sells? And the answer is 8%. And I have heard 8% used and recommended by other trading companies before, so we get a lot of similar results. Here's the output of the stock searcher. I have it so it will even show an output if there is no trade in the stock. The default is we'll only show outputs for stocks that actually currently have a buy or rebuy signal in them and show the trade. In this particular example, DRI is the only stock with an actual active trade. Everybody else has had a sell signal. There are many stocks where there's never been a loss, and you can look down this column here, all the zeros, and this is the number of times that Darknet's traded in any particular stock. These are all stocks. I'm just looking at the S&P 500 list. You can see it's spread across a wide variety of different kinds of sectors. It's not particularly focused on any one sector. Here's the call option searcher search page. It's also, the top is, they all look the same, 3 Darknet searchers. It's the bottom that's slightly different if you decide to look at it. In this case, we had a little bit more parameters we could vary. We could vary what percent we want to be from the close in the money. We also could look at out of the money. We could look at how much days to the call option expiration, and we can look at the mid-quote values. We vary them to whatever number we would like between natural quotes to mid-quotes. Well, doing all that and doing a lot of studies over time, we ended up discovering that 5% in the money works best. If you go less than that, you pay less for the calls, but fewer of them make a profit. We do not roll the calls if they expire and there's no sell signal. We tried rolling the calls, it did not do better. We go for 30 days to expiration or more. If it's less than 30 days, we don't take it. If it's more, we take it. But we don't like it to be much more. We prefer it to be in the next month. Sometimes the next month doesn't have options, in which case you might consider waiting. Mid-quotes, of course, does better than all of them. Here's some output of the call searcher. Again, if it doesn't have an active trade, it doesn't show anything under trade leg. In this case, only this Precision Cast Parts has a PCP has an active trade in the month of August for a September call option. There are also many call trades which have never had a loss in the S&P 500 list over this time period. If it does have a trade, there's a very important column here called slippage, which will show the bid-ask slippage in the bid-ask of the option trade it's trying to search. You'd really like that number to be 2% or less, and less than 1% is even better. And IV ranking, if you take the latest IV and compare it to the 1-year range of the IV of this particular trade, you get a percentage showing where you are in that 1-year range, and below 40% is great, below 20% is good, but when you get below 10%, that might be too small. You have to double check to make sure that's a valid IV, or is something odd going on in the stock, like is it being taken over, or what's going on. Here's the spread searcher. I don't show many spread search results in any of my presentations. We don't currently trade it at the moment. It does have good performance, but it requires patience. We did do a study on it. We discovered in the case of the spread searcher that greater than or equal to 20 days to expire is the number to use. Less than that, you don't get enough credit to make it worthwhile. More than that, you have too much time for things to go wrong. We also looked at the minimum reward to risk ratio in the spread searcher and arrived at 25%. I thought it would be a higher number and surprised it was this low. We also looked at how far in the money you should go, and 4% seems to be just about right. Here's some spread searcher output. If there is a trade, it will show up under trade legs, showing you the sell and the buy values, and it'll also show you in this column what the reward to risk ratio is. Now I'm going to switch to our home page. Most of what you need to do with Darknet is right here on the home page. First of all, if you have stocks that you've saved inside an Open Trades folder, which I have done, they will be listed here in this color-coded table, showing you their performance, where green is bullish and red is bearish. Below that, if any actions or whatever was the last action that has occurred in your stock, it will be separated into these buys, rebuys, sell dots, and sell signals. For example, NLY had a sell signal on this date, August 10th, and so the 5, which represents Darknet 5, in case I ever add any other Darknets to the website, it was a buy signal that day. If you click on it, you'll get the chart for NLY to appear right on the page just like that. And there you can see the buy signal that happened on that particular day for NLY. There was also a buy signal for AGG. At the bottom is where Darknet resides. These shows for the list that you select here, and the default list is all Darknet stocks shown there, and among the list selectors, and all Darknet stocks. We don't search for Darknet in all of the around 3,500 optionable stocks. We've reduced it down to those with decent bid-ask spreads, and they exist inside different lists like the S&P 100, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, Dow Jones 30. And many ETFs are inside the Darknet stocks. So they're the only ones that show. So if you have a stock you're trying to trade, it shows no Darknet signals, it might not be inside the list of stocks we actively trade with Darknet. Also, to be inside Darknet, it has to have been trading prior to 2009. So these are the guys that had a buy, and these are the guys that had a sell. Now, if you click on Darknet display, the home page immediately switches to only show Darknet results. Instead of the folders and trades appearing down here, you get boxes for Darknet trading. You get actions. You can go over to the spread, call, and stock searcher I've mentioned before under the actions box. Of interest is this text box right here, past Darknet days. 0 means it's only going to show you Darknet trades that are happening on the date that you're on. But you could change that to 5 and click Update Darknet Display. And what will happen is it will now show you all the trades in Darknet that have happened over the last 5 days. You can come up here and decide of these buys, rebuys, and sells, which one do you want to continue with and possibly create a trade in. Well, we don't want to create any bullish trades and stuff that's selling, so we get rid of the sells. We don't happen to have any A trades, but we're going to turn that off also. And all you do now is click the replace button. And what this will do is it will take the buys and rebuys that are on the page right now and store their stock symbols into your online list, My Stock List. You can add to it or you can replace it. I'm going to replace it. So, the Darknet stocks that you see here under buy and under rebuy are now in My Stock List. And I will say, let's see if I want to create any trades in it. Let's see if I wanted to create any option trades in calls. So we click on Darknet calls. It loads pretty much everything default ready to go, and we click search. Note that My Stock List was the stock list selected. Make sure that's true before you click search. We have around, I guess, 30 stocks that are in there right now, maybe less. It should finish inside of 30 seconds, and it does. I can't spread out the window. It would look a lot better if I could. But how this works is we look under slippage. We only concentrate on stuff that's below 2%, preferably below 1%. We see we have some candidates. We have a Clorox is a possible trade. We have a drug stocks, although I tend to stay away from drug stocks because anything can happen. We have IMAX is in there. We're not going to be in TLT, but it's currently bullish at the moment. NLY is a very interesting trade. To see what's going on inside the stock chart for NLY, you just have to click on Pick 5 right there. And the stock chart magically appears on top of the trade after you've looked at it. That's pretty interesting. This is one of those high dividend mortgage capital companies. If you decide if you see anything here you would like to trade, you then click on the stock link shown there. That's pretty much how it works. I'm going to stop here. You can go off and experiment. You can look at the Darknet Spread Trader and the Stock Trader. The deeper you go down these lists when you use Math Expectation as your ranker, the poorer and poorer the stocks are trading Darknet. So for example, down here, Darknet has not been doing a very good job trading TWTC in the past, and it has not been doing a good job trading PSQ, but that's a short ETF. If you actually think that the time has come for shorts to return, Darknet is saying go give it a try. So that's the end of the presentation for Darknet. Thanks for watching.